Imagine waking up one morning to find that the rules for living, studying, or working in Australia have changed overnight. For thousands of migrants and international students, this isn't just a hypothetical scenario, it's the reality they're facing in 2025. Australia, long known for its welcoming attitude and world-class education, is now at the centre of a major policy shift. The government has announced sweeping visa restrictions that will impact not only those dreaming of a new life down under but also those who have already built their lives here. If you're a student, a graduate, a temporary worker, or someone hoping to bring your family to Australia, these changes could affect your future in ways you never expected. But why is Australia making these changes now? What's driving the government to tighten the rules, and what does it mean for the people who have invested so much, emotionally, financially, and personally, in their Australian journey? In this video, we'll break down the new visa restrictions for migrants and students in 2025, explain the reasons behind these reforms, and help you understand what you need to do to protect your dreams and your future. Whether you're already in Australia or planning to come, this is information you can't afford to miss. Let's start with the big picture. Australia has always been a top destination for international students and skilled migrants. Its universities are ranked among the best in the world, its cities are vibrant and multicultural, and its economy has long relied on the contributions of newcomers. For years, the pathway from student to graduate to permanent resident was seen as a golden ticket, a way to build a better life while contributing to Australia's growth. But in recent years, the system has come under increasing pressure. The number of international students has soared, temporary visa holders have found creative ways to extend their stay, and concerns have grown about the integrity of the migration system. The government's response? A series of tough new rules designed to close loopholes, reduce visa hopping, and ensure that only the most qualified and committed individuals can stay in Australia long-term. These changes are not just tweaks around the edges, they represent a fundamental shift in how Australia manages its borders and its future. For some, these reforms are a necessary step to protect the country's resources and maintain fairness. For others, they feel like a door slamming shut on their hopes and hard work. So, what exactly is changing? Who will be affected, and how? And most importantly, what can you do to navigate this new landscape? Over the next several sections, we'll answer these questions in detail, using real stories, expert insights, and the latest data to give you a clear, honest, and practical guide to Australia's visa restrictions in 2025. Let's dive deeper into the heart of these changes and what they mean for people on the ground. The first and perhaps most headline-grabbing reform is the government's crackdown on what's known as visa hopping. For years, many temporary visa holders have managed to stay in Australia by moving from one visa type to another, often without ever leaving the country. This practice, while technically legal, has been criticised for undermining the integrity of the migration system. The government argues that it allows people to remain in Australia indefinitely without following the intended pathways to permanent residency or returning home when their visa expires. In 2025, this loophole is being firmly closed. Starting September 15th Street, 2025, if you enter Australia on a visitor visa, you will no longer be able to apply for a student visa from within the country. This is a dramatic shift from previous years, when tens of thousands of people used the tourist-to-student pathway as a way to extend their stay. The government's data shows that over 36,000 people made this switch between August 2024 and May 2025 alone. Now, if you genuinely want to study in Australia, you must apply for your student visa from outside the country. This move is expected to drastically reduce the number of people using short-term visas as stepping stones to longer stays. But the changes don't stop there. Temporary graduate visa holders, those who have completed their studies and are working or seeking work in Australia, are also facing new restrictions. In the past, many graduates would apply for another student visa to remain in the country, often enrolling in new courses not out of academic interest, but simply to buy more time. This revolving door is now being shut. From September 15, 2025, graduates on temporary visas will not be allowed to extend their stay by applying for another student visa while still in Australia. Instead, they will need to either pursue permanent residency if eligible or prepare to return home when their current visa expires. These reforms are not just about closing loopholes, they're about sending a clear message. The government wants to ensure that Australia's migration system is used by those who are genuinely committed to contributing to the country, not by those looking for ways to stay indefinitely without a clear plan. For many, this will mean making tough decisions about their future. Should they invest in meeting the new requirements for permanent residency, or should they start planning for life after Australia? The stakes have never been higher, and the choices have never been more consequential. The next major area of reform is the tightening of post-study work rights for international students. For years, Australia has been a magnet for students from around the world, not just because of its high-quality education, but also because of the generous opportunities to work after graduation. Many students saw this as a pathway to gaining valuable work experience, building a life in Australia, and eventually applying for permanent residency. However, the government now believes that these post-study work rights have been stretched beyond their original purpose. Instead of serving as a bridge to skilled migration, they have sometimes become a way for people to remain in Australia without a clear long-term plan. Under the new rules, the duration of post-study work rights will be shortened, and the age limit for certain visa categories will be lowered. This means that students will have less time to find a job and prove their value to the Australian workforce. The government's goal is to prioritise younger, highly skilled migrants who can contribute to the country's long-term growth. If you're an international student planning to study in Australia, you'll need to be more strategic than ever. It's no longer enough to simply complete your degree and hope for the best. You'll need to plan your career path carefully, meet higher standards, and act quickly to make the most of your limited time. Another significant change is the introduction of stricter English language requirements for student and graduate visas. The government argues that strong English skills are essential for success in Australia, both academically and professionally. Without adequate language proficiency, students may struggle in their studies, have difficulty finding work, and face challenges integrating into Australian society. By raising the bar, the government hopes to ensure that only those who are truly prepared for life in Australia are granted visas. This reform is expected to have a major impact on who applies and who is ultimately accepted. For many prospective students and migrants, these changes may feel overwhelming. The dream of studying or working in Australia is still alive, but the path has become much steeper. Families who have invested heavily in their children's education will need to plan more carefully, making sure that their loved ones meet the new requirements and are prepared for the challenges ahead. The message from the government is clear: Australia is still open to international talent, but only to those who are ready to meet higher standards and contribute meaningfully to the country's future. To truly understand the motivations behind these sweeping visa reforms, we need to look at the bigger picture of Australia's migration system and the challenges it faces. Over the past decade, Australia has experienced a surge in international student numbers and temporary migrants. In 2024 alone, more than 150,000 new international students arrived, representing a 30% increase from the previous year. While this influx has brought undeniable benefits boosting the economy, enriching cultural diversity, and supporting the higher education sector, it has also created significant pressures on housing, infrastructure, and public services. Cities like Sydney and Melbourne have seen rents skyrocket, and universities have struggled to keep up with the demand for resources and support. The government's response is rooted in a desire to restore balance and integrity to the migration system. There has been growing criticism that the system was too easy to manipulate, with some temporary visa holders using loopholes to remain in Australia indefinitely. Reports from think tanks like the Grattan Institute have highlighted cases where graduates re-enrolled in courses not for genuine educational advancement, but simply to extend their stay. This has led to concerns that the system is being abused, undermining public confidence and making it harder for genuine students and skilled migrants to succeed. Finally, there is a political dimension to these reforms. Immigration is a hot-button issue in Australia, as it is in many countries. Public opinion has shifted in recent years, with growing calls for a more controlled and transparent system. By introducing tougher rules and closing loopholes, the government is responding to these concerns and signalling that it is serious about protecting the integrity of the migration system. For migrants and students, this means navigating a landscape that is not only more competitive but also more closely scrutinized than ever before. For international students and migrants, these reforms are more than just policy changes, they represent a fundamental shift in how Australia views its role as a destination for global talent. In the past, Australia's reputation was built on openness, opportunity, and a clear pathway from education to employment to permanent residency. Many students chose Australia over other countries because they believed it offered a fair chance to build a future, not just a degree. Now, with the new restrictions in place, that pathway is narrower and more competitive. The message is clear: only those who are truly committed, highly skilled, and able to adapt will succeed. Let's turn our attention to the practical realities facing those who want to study, work, or settle in Australia under the new visa restrictions. The first and most important step is to stay informed. The rules are changing rapidly, and what was true last year may no longer apply. Prospective students should begin by researching the latest requirements for student visas, including the new English language standards and the need to apply from outside Australia. It's crucial to gather accurate information from official government sources and reputable migration agents, as misinformation can lead to costly mistakes or missed opportunities. For those already in Australia on a temporary visa, the situation is more complex. If you're a graduate on a temporary visa, you'll need to assess your eligibility for permanent residency as soon as possible. This means understanding the points system, identifying occupations in demand, and ensuring that your qualifications and work experience align with Australia's needs. If you're not eligible for permanent residency, it's important to start planning for your return home well before your visa expires. Leaving things to the last minute can result in unnecessary stress and complications, including the risk of overstaying your visa and facing future bans on re-entry. Families supporting students or migrants should also be proactive. The financial and emotional investment in an Australian education is significant, and the new rules mean that success is far from guaranteed. Parents and relatives should encourage their loved ones to focus on academic performance, language skills, and career planning from the very beginning. It's no longer enough to simply enroll in a course and hope for the best. Every decision, from choosing a university to selecting a field of study, should be made with a clear understanding of the long-term implications. Finally, don't be afraid to seek help when you need it. The process can be overwhelming, but there are many resources available, from university advisors to community organizations and online forums. Stay connected with others who are going through similar experiences, and share information and support. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. By staying informed, working hard, and being proactive, you can navigate the new visa landscape and achieve your goals in Australia, even in the face of tougher restrictions. As we reach the conclusion of this comprehensive guide to Australia's 2025 visa restrictions, it's important to reflect on both the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. The landscape for migrants and international students has undeniably changed. The days of easy transitions between visa types, extended post-study work rights, and relatively straightforward pathways to permanent residency are now behind us. In their place is a system that demands more from every applicant, more preparation, more commitment, and more resilience. But while the barriers may be higher, the rewards for those who succeed are just as significant, if not greater. For many, these changes may feel discouraging at first. It's natural to feel uncertain or even frustrated when the rules shift unexpectedly, especially after investing so much in your future. But history shows that those who adapt, who stay informed, and who are willing to put in the extra effort often find new ways to thrive. Australia remains a country that values talent, hard work, and diversity. The new visa system is designed to ensure that those who come to study, work, or settle here are truly prepared to contribute to the nation's future. If you can meet the new standards, you'll be joining a community of people who are not only highly skilled but also deeply committed to making a positive impact. It's also worth remembering that change brings with it the chance to innovate and grow. Universities, employers, and communities across Australia are already responding to the new environment by developing better support systems, clearer pathways, and more targeted opportunities for international students and skilled migrants. As a student or migrant, you can take advantage of these resources by staying engaged, asking questions, and seeking out programs that align with your goals. The journey may be more demanding, but it can also be more rewarding for those who are prepared. For families and supporters, the message is one of encouragement and partnership. Your role in helping your loved ones navigate this new system is more important than ever. By staying informed, offering guidance, and providing emotional support, you can help ensure that the investment in an Australian education or career pays off. Encourage your loved ones to be proactive, to seek help when needed, and to remain focused on their long-term goals. In closing, the 2025 visa reforms mark a new chapter in Australia's story as a destination for global talent. The path may be steeper, but it is still open to those who are ready to rise to the challenge. By understanding the new rules, planning carefully, and embracing the spirit of resilience, you can still achieve your dreams in Australia. The journey may be different, but the destination, a brighter future, new opportunities, and a place in one of the world's most dynamic societies, remains within reach for those who are prepared to work for it. Stay informed, stay determined, and remember, your story in Australia is still yours to write.